And here, at the start of his day, Hughie arrives at work. Always on time, always ready for the day. This locker, like always, fights back against his best efforts. Hughie was the company's 300th hire since its inception a mere 4 years prior. Hughie's job was simple: be ready for any task left for him. You see, this is all Hughie knew. The company gave him his schooling, gave him his food, gave him his housing, and gave him his money. Not that he needed it. After all, everything was taken care of for him. Hughie was not the greatest of employees, but he was never late, and he was never unable to finish the job, step by step. Today was rather simple, as he'd seen on his company-appointed email from his company-appointed computer locked behind the door of his company-appointed personal room within the building. The company is very respected, you see, and quite well off. They like productivity, they like success, and because of that, they decided the best way to stay productive was to simply build a connecting tunnel between a personal housing apartment building, recreational building, and 3 or so company operating buildings. But for Hughie, he knew only this one, Building 3. Hughie entered the cramped closet with the letter B in a state of sloth, lethargic even. He was a good employee after all, just not the best, though that worked just fine for him. With a glance over the worksheet, he went to the top drawer, removing 2 assigned items, and then the third. And realizing he made a mistake, going back to the first and exchanging items. Looking to his right, he realized that this particular task hadn't been assigned to him in some time. Peeking out the back into the hallway to make sure that there was no one else around, he looked through a bag, then another drawer. People had moved things around, and no one had told him. Well, not that it mattered. He just had to do what was prescribed and go on about his day. He had those precious crosswords waiting for him back in his room to solve after all. He crossed off the items and exited the closet, repeating his lethargic entrance into C closet. For a moment, he halted, looking around and back into the hallway, before setting aside the paper, looking through the oddly placed television and podium. You see, Hughie thought he was breaking the rules, being a bad worker, but this was all accounted for. He was expected to look, slack off for a couple minutes in each room, take his time checking each compartment because he seemed to think time would go by quicker just like that. Hughie was very naive. Finally, he got himself back to the list and looked at the 4 items that were on there. Another random collection. Just like that, he got to acquiring them, finding the first 2 with ease, but quickly misstepping, stumbling over the third that was on the floor. In the sense of righteous rage, Hughie cursed in his head, looking around for someone to accuse and realizing, just like before, he was quite alone. For a moment, this scared Hughie. Usually, he'd see a good few employees within the company hallways, but now it was just him. Recently, he thought to himself, there were fewer and fewer people. It wasn't entirely new or sudden, of course. A new 4th building was being worked on, and apparently needed all hands on deck. Hughie, however, was not chosen for that task. In the grand exhale and centering himself, he picked up the fallen piece and sought the 4th. Finding it not in front of him, but instead behind it. Hughie looked at his list, surprised, for a moment realizing how short it was. Good for you, Hughie. You get to go home early today. He exited the closet, forgetting to close it fully, and turning on his heel when he didn't hear that familiar closing of a latch. Once again, turning to go down the hallway, he walked through a door and set the items assigned to him in their specified order, with the specified distance and their specified sequence. Standing up, he felt satisfied, even if, like always, he didn't understand the purpose of his work. He simply knew, as he was told when interviewed, that someone else would come along and continue this great chain of action and consequence. Wiping his hands on his shirt, checking his pockets for anything he forgot, and then, referring back to his company-appointed assignment, Hughie returned to his locker in a bit of a hurry. He'd never been able to get his objectives done so quickly, and there were so few. Someone must have realized the amount of work he'd put in over the last 2 years. All the effort finally paying off. He looked up, stopping his work, and realized it. Of course. The reason he'd begun to see fewer and fewer people, and now today, no one, was because all their work had finally been recognized. It wasn't because all the others were tossed into the fourth building in all its new glory. No, it was because he and them were finally catching a break. His personal quarters. What a time, and how much of it he had now, all dedicated to those puzzles. Hughie walked forward and turned left, gazing a moment at the door before heading inside and closing it behind him to begin solving those issues therein. And here, at the start of his day, Hughie arrives at work, always on time, always ready for the day. I said, and here, at the start of his day, Hughie arrives at work, always on time, always ready for the day. There he is, ready for another go around the offices. He's 67 since Hughie's been given the shorter work, since he's had so much free time, since he'd been given the space and quiet he'd wanted to do his tasks as simply and cleanly as possible. Hughie settled next to his locker and began to fiddle to get it open. Hold on. I'll have to repeat myself today. Hughie settles next to his locker. He fiddles with the combination. Well, I suppose if Hughie wants to lose his job, lose his home, lose his free time, lose all he is, he could just stare at a locker. Or he could enter his combination, get the papers with his daily assignment of tasks, and get to it. Good lad, Hughie. Oh, but he's noticed something's missing. And in a quick panic, he rolls around and glances around this boring hallway as if he's been watched. Hughie calms down, remembering what he has to do today. Remembering he needs to hear as best he can and pay attention to the tasks at hand. Even made a rhyme, just for the sake of poetry. That and the rhythm that you always have enjoyed. Isn't that right, Hughie? He returns to his locker, feeling just fine like the past 2 years, like the last 67 days of peace and quiet, as it always has been, as it always will be. Hughie. Hughie! Hughie is going to enter C closet, as is his assignment today, just as always, doing as he's told by the assignment given to him by the company. he walks down the hallway, now, there we are, powering through like always, a model employee, entering the connecting hallway and making his way into C closet. No, C closet. The one that comes after B? I suppose crosswords are only good for words, not how they're formed. Hughie realized his mistake, of course. It's C closet today. B closet has been out of commission for the last 24 days after an incident he caused by breaking the cabinet. C closet, Hughie. C closet. Hughie. Hughie! Oh, there he is. Thought I lost you for a second. And here, at the end of his day, Hughie had taken far too long with today's task to earn the right for his free time. No, you see, Hughie decided it would be best to lounge around and ignore everything he was told. That lethargic human nature getting the better of him in the end. He needed to work more and more every day. How else, of course, would he be able to live? I was hoping you'd actually listen to me here, Hughie. I said you are tired. You must prepare for tomorrow. You must sleep. Center door. Entrance. Fuck's sake, Hughie. Go in the center door. Do you not understand that? These boring, lifeless puzzles you spend hours on teach you nothing. 5-letter word. Entering and breaching the plane of a doorway. Don't bother. Enter. The answer is enter. Enter the room, Hughie. Get yourself inside and go to bed. Hugh, do not approach that door. Stop it. Stop walking to it. Don't take your hands off the doorknob, Hughie. This is not the time or place. Trust me. If you step out there, I cannot help you. You really shouldn't have done that. If nothing else, again, in post. Let's go home. In post, we